Hey everybody, welcome to Connect in Cannabis, brought to you by Wrazel. I am your host, Brian Haller. I hope you guys are all doing well out there today. Today's guest is Ed Keating, Chief Data Officer and co-founder of Cannabiz Media. He's here to talk to us about what Cannabiz Media is, why it's important to have a cannabis-specific CRM option, email option, etc. I'm really excited to dig in. Of course, but first, we'd like to hear a word from our gracious sponsor. Medicus Lp was created after their team discovered that very few avenues existed for investment in professionally managed public equity funds. As a result, they created a long-biased limited partnership, Medicus, for accredited individuals and organizations that will invest in public exchange-traded companies in the cannabis space. Investor net asset values are calculated on a monthly basis by their administrator, Klein Fund Services, and audited annually by Spicer Jeffries. This provides full transparency for investors. Their prime broker is BTIG and custodian is Pershing. Medicus started investing in January 2020. To learn more about Medicus, please visit their website at medicuslp.com. And for more information about their current investment opportunity, please visit the Wrazel investment marketplace at wrazel.com. And we're back. Ed Keating. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing well, Brian. How are you?
I can't complain. We're grinding away as usual. It's a very sunny, beautiful day here in Southern California. So, feeling motivated and excited today. How about yourself?
Excellent. Same here. It's a nice day in Connecticut. And, we're glad that Connecticut is finally unwinding a bit from the COVID crisis. So things are starting to look up a little bit here on the East Coast.
Yeah, I feel we're in that place where we don't want to jinx the progress. We're not going to go ahead and, talk about it too much, but there are slight openings happening, but let's just keep it there,
Exactly. Right.
Yes. So let's hop right in, of course. So you are the co-founder, chief data officer for Cannabiz Media.
Yep.
Some of our folks out there might be asking, what's Cannabiz Media?
So Cannabiz Media is a database of over 100,000 cannabis and hemp licenses globally. And in that database, people use it for competitive sales and business intelligence. And typically it's used to function as a CRM and also as an email marketing tool. So if you're trying to reach, let's say, active cultivators in the state of Ohio, you can use our system to do that, build your email, send it out, and see what happens.
Yeah, and it's a really interesting kind of option. What inspired you to kind of go this direction? I mean, it makes sense. Let's do a cannabis specific kind of CRM, BI, and an email option. But what really kind of sparked your interest in the first place?
So a long time ago, probably about maybe 10 or 12 years ago, when I was working for a trade association in the information space, it's when the government started making a lot of data available. The federal government as well as state governments. So after a trip down to DC, I came back to Connecticut, started looking around at what my home state had, and I was amazed at all the data they had. Like they had this giant list of liquor licenses. I'm like, well, that's cool. So I built my own database and found all the violations that they had and started tweeting those out. And I was like, wow, this is kind of cool. But Connecticut's a small market. That's probably more a feature than a product or a business, but it got stuck in my head. So years later, hearing that some states were contemplating the passage of medical marijuana laws, and then hearing the really important part for anybody who works in compliance publishing, every state will have their own rules and regs. Thinking there's an opportunity here. So talked to my co-founder, Larry, we mulled it around for about 10 months and then started doing the research. And that place where I found those liquor licenses, they also had cannabis licenses. I'm like, look what I found. So
there you go.
After that, we started going state to state and building out the database.
And there you go. How long ago was that again?
That was 5 years ago.
Yeah. So cannabis, that's basically the impetus of Cannabiz Media. How long did it take you to actually be that?
It probably took us at least a good year and a half, 2 years to build up enough data, because for a while we were a database. So what the heck is that? How do people use a database? They can look stuff up and maybe we had email addresses and phone, but that's when we started talking to customers and folks were like, so Ed, can you guys do the emails for us, or can you help us reach out? And we're like, maybe. So we talked about it and that helped us think, geez, we really need to build an email system within. So we started doing that. And then to that, we added a CRM so that people could go in and find their list of potential clients and customers and work them and take them through the whole funnel of suspect, prospect, lead, and eventually deal. So we really tried to do that based on what our customers told us they wanted in terms of functionality. And as you know, and we talked about before, we have added a lot of data beyond just a license and an email.
Absolutely. You have a full disclosure, Wrazel uses Cannabiz Media. We are proud to do so. It's been very helpful in terms of really, really aggressively being able to strategically outreach towards different groups of people, because we service, from a B2B perspective, everybody in cannabis.
Right.
So
Yeah.
Cannabiz Media is an amazing resource for us to use. And on top of that, it makes sense, right? You are building a database, you're getting lots more, data. And then of course, people I'm sure out there are going, oh, you're just a list company. You can just download a list and give me a whole, crap load of, dispensaries and other businesses that have licenses, manufacturers, et cetera. And that's it. That's how you make your money, right?
Yeah, that's what some people think, and we've done our best to dissuade them. So thank you for that generous setup. What we've tried to do is gather as much relevant information about a license or a company that owns licenses, so that if you're going on a sales call, we want you to be as informed as you can. So, for example, we have close to 45,000 social media points that include Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, websites, emails, to help people connect to those licenses. Some of our salespeople are former customers, and they used to use us to reach out on Instagram, maybe, perhaps follow up with an email, and then eventually a phone call. So it was a slightly warmer lead. In addition, we aggregate things like news stories. So if there's news stories about a specific store or cultivator or business, we work hard to tag those stories. I think now we're closing in on 10,000 stories in the database that we have sourced just from reading and alerts and whatnot. And for others, we have things like fines and violations, as well as the full text documents of some of the applications that these businesses filed to get their license. So a lot more than a list, Brian.
Yep, exactly. A CRM, a BI, email service, and then of course, in-depth data, social media points. You're making a great point. Or you make all great points, because as somebody who is in the business development end of a cannabis company, I can tell you right now, if you're using traditional methods, your LinkedIn's of the world, your, different things like that your usual resources to reach out to different industries, it's very difficult to do that for cannabis, especially right now. And a resource like Cannabiz Media has already done a lot of the legwork for your sales or marketing team. As long as you're deliberately in the cannabis space, you really can take a lot of advantage of the hard work that Ed and his team have put in by utilizing the service.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we try and do, and I think you've outlined it well. What we do is we always start with getting the data from the state, because that is the source of truth. You figure there's a regulator and the regulated, they both need to keep that data up to date, because nobody wants to lose their license and the regulator doesn't want to lose their fees. Then my researchers add more information that we can find by visiting websites and other things. And then we actually have a telephone team that calls to validate the data and try and get additional data. Like, for example, if you're in the a dispensary or a retailer, we're going to ask, what point of sale software are you using? And we've done market share reports on that. And we also ask, what kind of accounting software are people using? And it tends to be QuickBooks at about 90% of the time. But still, by calling in and finding out that information, number of employees and square footage, we're just trying to give the salesperson or the marketers just more data to help them refine what they're, who they're targeting, how they're targeting. And lastly, not only do we have all the licenses, we have the companies that own them and the people that work at them. And with the people, we try really hard to take those titles and provide additional intelligence. So if it's VP of cultivation, we'll say that the level is at a vice president level and the expertise is in cultivation, so that if you're trying to do a mailing because you're selling greenhouses, you want senior people. You don't want to get the assistant farmer. So this way we can help you really target who you're calling up on the phone, or who you're going out to visit.
Yeah, you took the words kind of out of my mouth. You guys do a great job of just really segmenting to the just nth degree, every piece of data that you can get to create a profile, because who knows how people would want to address,
Right.
a different segment of people in the industry. It could be a variety of ways and for a variety of reasons. And I think you guys have continued. I remember when we first used you, you were really good at that. You've done nothing but get more and more improved over the, year, more intelligent, more segmentation, more capability. So it's really cool to see. It's a great resource for anybody in the industry, or anyone, especially if you're starting out.
Yeah, good. No, thank you. And we find that we work with those starting out who we call the canna curious. They're
Yep.
trying to get in the industry all the way up to the canna serious. Like for people, this is their only industry that they support. So,
Yep.
for those people, like you said, any work that we can do to get you closer to your target is time that you don't need to spend, because we all know that in sales and marketing, the more time you spend selling and the less time doing admin work, the more successful you'll be.
Yep, that's exactly right. And so the more that you can kind of keep that in a efficient, sometimes automated, or just create that process that everybody's really dialed into, is going to be helpful. And
Exactly.
obviously, we all looking for software to kind of help accelerate different aspects of those funnels or strategies or processes.
Right. Yeah. We hope to provide the high tech that will make your high touch more effective.
There you go. Nice. That's a nice that's some marketing right there, Ed.
That's right. That's
It's a
right.
little bit, a little tagline
That
right
MBA
there.
in marketing comes in handy every now and then. So
It does indeed, indeed. So what's next on the horizon? So, obviously, well, let's start here actually. Has COVID kind of impacted any of your progress in any significant way?
So what's been interesting about COVID is that it really accelerates people's need for our product, because as one of our salespeople sent out in an email 8 weeks ago, I don't know about you, but I woke up this morning and my next 4 trade shows were canceled. How are you
Yep.
going to meet? Yeah. How are you going to meet people in the industry? And Cannabiz Media is a great way to do that, because through those 40, 50,000 social points, through the emails, through phone numbers,
Yep.
you can stay in contact with folks. So it definitely has not impacted us that way. Our renewal rates have actually grown stronger in this time.
Yep.
So we think it's going to be okay. And it's just, we're just continuing to add more data and actually add a lot more functionality too, that, happy to give you some details on.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I would love to see, or tell us a little bit more about what's coming
Yeah.
down the pipe.
So we're going to be launching version 6 of the software in, I think, the next 4 to 8 weeks. And it's a major redo of our emailing system, and it just has a lot more analytics. So for those of our customers who are, let's say, marketing people who are, really want to do more sophisticated analytics, we built in a lot of really cool functionality so that people can do more. We also have something in there called send optimization, where based on all the information we've learned from sending out millions of emails for the industry, we know that if you're trying to reach cultivators in California, you want to mail them on this day, this time, not this day or this time. So we're building that in so that ideally you'll have better open rates, better engagement rates, et cetera. So from a functionality standpoint, that is something that we're really excited about. And then on the data side, we've been working to have license holders claim their license in the software. So this way they can add in their own data, and they also get functionality in return, so that they can see, who are all the license holders in my state, because maybe I need to reach them. Maybe I'm a processor, I need to find more cultivators. So we've been growing that over time, and that's great because it gives us more perspective on what the license holders need. And then finally, for companies like yours, we're also planning to build out our vendor directory, where we have a lot of information in there. And some of these license holders are telling us, these are the services that we use. We learned some of it from those phone calls when they tell us we use this point of sale, but now we have a chance to gather more information about that. So that'll be exciting to build that in so that we can start to see, more of which are the preferred vendors in the industry, and how might we be able to help, bring those two sides together, buyers and sellers.
AeroBloom is a proprietary patent-pending aeroponic system that reliably achieves at least double the crop yield of hydroponic cultivation. AeroBloom also uses 40 to 90% less water than hydroponics or traditional farming practices and produces a higher quality harvest with one additional crop cycle per year. At over 4 pounds of AAA quality trimmed flower per light and one additional harvest per year, AeroBloom is the highest producing, most efficient cultivation system in the cannabis industry. To learn more about AeroBloom, please visit their website at aerobloom.com. And to learn more about their current investment opportunity, please visit the Wrazel investment marketplace at wrazel.com. Wrazel has a services directory where you'll be able to, or services index, excuse me, where you'll be able to find Cannabiz Media if you happen to be looking for service providers when you visit Wrazel, which a lot of people do. Of course, yes, we look forward to you rolling out that option and being part of that, of course, as well. And
Absolutely.
just more ways for us to find one, or for people to find both businesses, which of course you and I love. So
yeah, and ours will be behind a paywall, so it'll be for our customers. It will not be an open web, which I think yours is, because you guys go pretty far and wide, if I remember correctly.
We do, yeah. That's a big difference. Yes, ours is free in that respect. Obviously, yours with all the other accoutrement that comes with your Cannabiz Media, option. Probably not a wise choice for you guys to make yours public.
So, yeah, right, exactly. Or at least
so they work together. They're both good resources for anybody in the industry, for sure. So that's great. A lot of different cool things coming on. One thing I wanted to really emphasize, though, is, ultimately Cannabiz Media, I think at the core, and this isn't something that, you guys tout a lot, and maybe you should, because I think it's really, you guys are great at it, which is customer service. You guys have a very good bead, and I like to think we do too, on kind of riding that line of like, hey, we're bringing new people into the space, but we also respect the people already in it, and we just want to elevate both sides of that so the whole entire industry can be better. Would you elaborate a little bit on that kind of culture?
Yeah, for Cannabiz Media, and a lot of this, I give credit to my co-founder, Larry. We always want to be available for our customers. We'll call people back whenever, and just make sure if somebody has a complaint, Larry will take a phone call on a Friday night if it's something that we think we can resolve. And we have a great team who handles the frontline customer service, and they monitor and track a lot of metrics. The person who runs it just recently, let's say over the last 6 months, had us measuring our net promoter score, which is something that a lot of big companies do, like, do people promote you, detract, et cetera. So he's been, helping bring that process into Cannabiz Media so that we all have one metric to focus on, at least from the customer service standpoint. So a lot of people are looking at that, and we use Intercom as our vendor for having those questions come in and out, and a lot of us are able to access that and answer. And we really try hard, because we're only going to be able to renew our customers if we provide good customer service and help them be successful. So we're glad you recognize it. And, we always are looking for feedback, and, ideally we'll continue to invest in that part of our business, because we think it's really important to our future success.
Yeah. And clearly, and I wanted to just point out that you had obviously put a premium on that early, and you continue to place a premium on that. And I just think it's really important for listeners to kind of understand the different types of companies. There's a lot of competitors or alternative, some different types of options in your space, but none of them kind of do what you do in that respect. And then on top of that, I really do think this customer service piece is key. I keep thinking of Justin, who I believe is the first account rep or manager. Yeah, I think he's advanced now. He's been promoted a few times since, but he was the first guy that was working with us, and just so good. And then I would go to trade shows and see other people there, and and meet with other folks that work there, like McKinsey, and I can name some other people too. Just, you can tell that you all put a high premium on it, and you should for what you do. It's a very helpful service, but also one that a lot of people need, direction on and help with and guidance. Yeah.
Well, to build on that, a lot of people get emails every day of the week saying, "Hey, do you want the latest list from this conference?" Well, nobody sells their list that way. It is not a real list. And to your point, none of those companies have a quote unquote customer service department, and they probably actually don't even have salespeople who are well trained in the industry. They're just trying to, hawk data that they probably don't even have the right to at a low price. And if people want to use those people, that's okay, but they are not a good mission match for our business, and they probably wouldn't be a great customer for us. So, so we'll keep trying to raise the bar and make sure that people have a good experience, so that you know, they continue to use our products. In the early days, Brian, when we first launched it, we'd occasionally run into people like, "Well, this stuff's all free. I can go get it on the web." I'm like, "Well, it's not." And
No.
now that there's 100,000 licenses, how are you going to keep track of that? Like, you know, you say, "Oh, I'm going to hire an intern." Show me that intern. I will hire them, because it's a lot of work that's not really high value for our clients to do. It's an easy thing to outsource, and you know, we think we're pretty price friendly in terms of the value that people should get for the work that we do and that they do.
Absolutely. And speaking of which, I could wax poetic with you forever, but let us kind of wrap up by letting everybody know where they can find Cannabiz Media.
Yeah, the place to find us on the web is www.cannabiz.media. And you can find us there. And we also have a blog called Cannacurio that is also off that website, that has a lot of the work that my team is building on in terms of what we find in the data vault when we dig in there and come up with interesting stories or tidbits that we think our customers will find useful.
Very interesting. Well, Ed, thank you so much for being on with me today. I definitely appreciate it. Look forward to doing it again soon. And of course, I'm Brian Holler. You can find me on most social profiles under Holler1012 or Brian Holler. And then, of course, you can find Wrazel at wrazel.com, and as well as Wrazel on most major social media platforms. Thank you, Ed, for being here. I look forward to doing it again soon. Be well. Have a great day.
Thanks. Bye.